Depending on your present level of fitness, as well as your PD symptoms, the type of exercise that is right for you will vary. So often I'm asked, what's the best kind of exercise for Parkinson's disease? I think people are frustrated when I tell them there's no one answer to that question. But it's really true. In the best case scenario, you'll get some professional guidance, someone with professional knowledge of exercise and PD. If you don't know anyone that fits that description, check with your local healthcare provider, local Parkinson's support group, or the APDA Rehab Resource Center at Boston University. They can help you identify resources in your area. In the end, even if you don't have those resources, you shouldn't feel discouraged. There's a lot that you can accomplish by exercising at home and finding other activities that you enjoy and progressing your efforts as you grow stronger and are able to do more. Once you start exercising, I'll hope that you'll be motivated by the results you see to keep going and to explore new activities. Before we start the workouts, a little bit of background. I'm going to show you exercises that can be done at home and in a fitness center. The exercises will be demonstrated by people with PD. We will demonstrate each exercise and point out some of the common mistakes or challenges that people have with these exercises. Our aim is to provide you with a roadmap for engaging in regular stretching, resistance training, and aerobic training. Before we get into the at-home workout, let's talk about exercise intensity. Current research suggests that intensity is important. However, we don't know what is the right intensity for a specific disease severity. We just don't have those answers yet. As a result, our focus is getting people to systematically progress their exercise program. Over time, you need to add weight, do more reps, and exercise more days out of the week. We want you to work harder. We want your heart beating faster. After watching this video, we want you to understand how to progress your strength and aerobic training. Everyone will progress at different rates. This is not a competition. You are only racing with the disease. Therefore, it is a marathon, not a sprint. If you commit to exercising and progressing your exercise each week, each month, each year, think how strong and healthy you will be in 1 year, 2 years, and well beyond. An easy way to gauge intensity is with the talk test. If it is difficult for you to carry on a conversation while you're exercising, you're probably exercising at a high enough level of intensity. You can also use a scale called the Borg Rating of Perceived Exertion to help measure your intensity. We'll demonstrate a routine that you can do at home and one you can do in a fitness center. Both routines target common deficits in flexibility, strength, and endurance. PD presents many challenges, all of which can make it very difficult to get to a fitness center regularly. We want to show you a routine you can do at home. I'll also talk about how you can progress your at-home routine to suit your needs.
Hello, I'm Butch. I'm 66 years old and I've had Parkinson's for 8 years.
Butch starts his morning routine with some flexibility exercises. Whether you sleep well or sometimes struggle with your sleep, these can be helpful before getting on with your morning routine. You can do these exercises lying on the floor, if that's comfortable for you, or from your bed. We're going to demonstrate them on the floor. Each of these stretches should be held for 20 seconds. Butch starts the morning off with just some light stretching. You can see here that he's found a comfortable area on the floor with a mat and a pillow. You could do this in bed when you first wake up. All he's trying to do is just reach out, stretch out his muscles, alternate that with pulling his knees to chest. Again, the goal is to get the joints and muscles moving early in the morning. He's going to do each of these, stretching out, hold for 20 seconds, then knees to chest, hold for 20 seconds. Once he's done with that, he's going to move on to isolating leg muscles. He'll start first by working on stretching some of the muscles in his rear end and the back of his legs. As you can see, he's pulling his right knee to chest, keeping his left foot flat on the floor. Real important here again to have the spine and the neck and the head comfortable. What you should feel is just a nice gentle stretch in the back of the leg and in the rear end. Alternate legs, 20-second stretch on each leg. From there, Butch is going to move to isolating the hamstring muscles of the back of the legs a little bit more. So he goes from a bent knee to a straight leg. Now, one of the things that I want to point out here is that it's important to try and keep your rear end on the ground while doing this stretch. You see with Butch that his rear end, as he's pulling that straight leg, is coming off the ground. One of the things that you can do if you find the same thing is happening to you is just ease off a little bit on how much you pull. If it's difficult for you to reach, meaning your hamstrings are tight, you can use a bed sheet or a strap to allow your rear end to stay on the ground. If stretching in your bed or getting up and down from the floor is difficult for you, you can try stretching while sitting in a chair. You can also use these stretches to complement your floor routine. For some of you, it may be difficult getting up and down off a floor, or perhaps you're more interested in getting out of bed than staying in bed. The real important thing here is as you do these stretches in the chair, make sure that you're in a safe environment. It may be safest to put the chair up against a wall, stabilize it. For those of you that have some balance problems, perhaps having someone standing by there with you to make sure that you don't lose your balance within the chair. But again, be safe. Butch starts with some neck stretches, turns his neck side to side, looking over his left shoulder and his right shoulder, holding for 20 seconds. And then he does some rotation, where he's just taking his chin, tucking it down to his chest, trying to get his ear to his shoulder, and then tilting his head backwards. Again, the objective, get that neck and head moving. Next thing that Butch is going to do is something we already demonstrated on the floor, is he's going to just get a general stretch of his entire body. Again, real important here that you're in a safe environment. This is the type of stretch where if you push with your legs, push yourself right out the back of this chair, and that's not what we want to happen. So again, he stretches his arms up, legs out, holds for 20 seconds. Then brings his arms down and his legs in and relaxes. Again, the objective is just to get a nice, gentle stretch of your entire body. Next thing that Butch is going to do is he's just going to loosen up his shoulders a little bit. He's going to do some gentle arm circles. Go forwards, backwards. This is not a static stretch, but more where we're just getting some motion within the joints. 10 repetitions in each direction should be sufficient to get the shoulder muscles and the arm muscles nice and loosened up. And then the final chair stretch that you're going to see Butch demonstrate is back to the hamstrings. So even in a chair, you can stretch your legs straight out in front of you, reach down and try and touch your toes. Again, very important, safety. If you have some problems with balance or you feel a little unsteady in the chair, have someone there with you. He just reaches down, tries to touch his toes, holds it for 20 seconds, then comes back up. It's important for people with Parkinson's to maintain the flexibility in their ankles. Butch is demonstrating a standing stretch for the calf muscles. Hold this stretch for 20 seconds per leg. So you can see that Butch is using a wall, and he just leans into the wall with his hands. He's got one leg forward and bent and the other leg behind him and straight. It's real important to keep the heel on the ground and that knee as straight as possible. You should feel a gentle stretch in the back of your leg and the calf muscle just below the knee. Again, Butch is going to alternate from the right leg to the left leg, holding that stretch for 20 seconds. If your past medical history includes conditions related to heart and lung function, you should consult with your physician before doing any aerobic training. We have provided a table that illustrates the target heart rate range for different ages and activity levels. You can keep track of your heart rate easily with a heart rate monitor. There are different ways you can warm up prior to your home exercise routine. You can simply walk in place and during a 5 to 10 minute period, increase your pace gradually. A simple measure of your effort is the talk test. Your warm-up should be intense enough to make conversation challenging. So prior to doing his home exercise routine, Butch is going to warm up by just doing some simple walking in place. Now it's real important here again to have an area that's safe, and if you have problems with balance, that you have someone there to guard you for safety. Now you can either walk in place if that gets your heart rate up and going, or as you'll see Butch, he starts by walking in place and then starts to run in place. And actually when Butch is warming up, what he does is he alternates between the two. And he uses the talk test with his wife there in the room to gauge how hard he's working. Again, if you're going to try running, very important to make sure that you're safe or stable. No problem in trying to do something that you haven't before, but make sure you have someone there to guard you. Now Butch is going to demonstrate exercises he does twice a week for approximately 20 minutes. He is exercising his legs, core, and arms. Specifically, Butch is working to strengthen his calves, hamstrings, quadriceps, and gluteal muscles in his legs, his core muscles, specifically his back and abdominals, and his shoulders. Right now he gets fatigued by the 10th repetition, meaning he is working at a high intensity for him. He takes approximately 30 to 60 seconds to rest in between exercises. Here Butch is demonstrating squats. Your goal should be 8 to 11 repetitions. He's standing in front of his couch, using it as a guide and for safety. Squats down in a controlled manner, knees in alignment with his feet, arms out in front of him, squats up and down. Very important here to remember that as you're doing these exercises to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do not hold your breath. Here Butch is going to demonstrate push-ups. Remember, your goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. One of the things you're going to notice about Butch and the push-ups he's doing is he's modifying them slightly to fit his current fitness level. He's got his feet up off the ground, which makes it a little bit easier for him to achieve the number of repetitions he needs to. It's important during these push-ups to keep your spine aligned with your head. And you notice that Butch keeps his eyes focused at a point in front of him. His chin is not tucked down underneath him, or he's not looking up out in front of him. So the next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is lunges. Your goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. A couple things that are important to emphasize here is that Butch has modified these exercises in a couple ways. First, he's using a chair to help stabilize. It's important, especially for those of you who have had balance problems in the past, find a chair that's stable or have someone there with you to make sure that you don't lose your balance. Now, as Butch is squatting up and down, one of the things that's real important is he tries to keep his trunk and his head over his pelvis. And in doing this, again, he's using the chair to support himself, but he's not leaning into the chair heavily. He does 10 repetitions on the right, 10 repetitions on the left. Again, like all the other exercises, remember, don't hold your breath. Next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is wall slides. Your goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. As you can see, Butch is standing up against the wall. He's got his arms, elbows, and hands up against the wall as he slides his arms up above his head. The second motion will be then to take his arms and slide them down the wall, again keeping his hands and elbows against the wall, pinching his elbows against his side. Right now, Butch can do 10 repetitions. A repetition being all the way up and all the way down is one repetition. The next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is bridges. Again, your goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. As you can see, Butch is lying comfortably on the floor, feet flat, knees bent, feet in alignment with each other. He's simply lifting his rear end, his body up off the floor, and then lowering it back down. It's important that as he lifts his rear end up off the floor, he creates basically a straight line between his shoulders all the way up to his knees. A repetition is just lifting your rear end up, holding it for 3 seconds, and then slowly lowering it to the ground. The next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is trunk rotations. Again, the goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. You can see here that Butch has got his hands clasped together, arms out straight, and he's just rotating back and forth. One repetition equals rotating all the way to the left and then back to the right. It's important with this exercise when you first do it to have someone guarding you for balance. This exercise will test your balance. You can see here that Butch has a 12-pound medicine ball. He's going to perform the exact same exercise. This medicine ball provides a little bit more resistance, which leads to him performing the 10 repetitions that he normally does. Again, same thing, even with a medicine ball, have someone there initially guarding you for balance, because this exercise will test your balance. Next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is what we call bird dog. Again, the goal here is 8 to 11 repetitions. Now, Butch is modifying this slightly. He has some balance difficulties when lifting his right arm to try and lift his left leg, or when lifting his left arm to lift his right leg. He can't do that. So he's simply lifting his arms. He alternates between the right and the left. When he lifts the right arm, he holds it for 3 seconds, then drops it back down and switches to the left arm. The goal here is 8 to 11 repetitions. And like all the other exercise, remember, don't hold your breath. The next exercise that Butch is going to demonstrate is squats with resistance band. Again, the goal is 8 to 11 repetitions. So what you want to do here is take your resistance band, step on it as you see Butch here, spread your feet about shoulder width apart, bend your elbows with the hands up by your shoulders, and simply squat down, and as you stand back up, extend your arms, straighten your elbows. As you squat back down, bend the elbows again. And then as you stand back up, extend your arms up above your head. Now we're going to demonstrate the same exercises, but more advanced with Roger.
My name is Roger. I'm 47 years old, and I've had Parkinson's for 10.5 years.
Roger is very active, hiking, running, and strength training. Here's what these exercises would look like for someone at his level of function and fitness. Roger starts his home workout with jumping jacks and running in place. Roger requires a more rigorous warm-up in order to get his heart rate into the target range. First exercise that Roger is going to demonstrate is called Y squats with a resistance band. Now this is similar to what we showed you before with Butch, except that Roger's using this resistance band around his knees, and he has his arms up extended above his head. Both of these make the activity of squatting more difficult, or in this case, make the squat at a level that Roger is only completing 10 repetitions. The next exercise that Roger's going to demonstrate is push-ups. Now for Roger, we've progressed this exercise. You can see here that Roger is doing what we would call a standard push-up, no modification. His goal is 8 to 11 repetitions, and again, as we've said before, it's important not to hold your breath while doing these exercises. The next exercise we're going to demonstrate is lunges. Now as you can see, we've progressed this exercise with Roger. He's using 2 dumbbells, 15 pounds in each hand, and he's actually doing a lunge, meaning he's stepping forward, then standing back up, switching to the opposite leg, stepping forward, lunging, and standing back up. The next exercise that Roger's going to demonstrate is using a therapeutic ball. Now this is a progression of the wall slides we showed you with Butch. As you can see, Roger's rolling out into a flat position and using his arms to pull back to a squat position. As he's doing this, he's using his back muscles in a similar manner that Butch was doing with the wall slides. The next exercise that Roger's going to demonstrate is called the single leg bridge. As you can see, this is a progression of what we demonstrated earlier with Butch. Roger presses down and lifts his rear end up into the air and then straightens out one of his legs. He holds it there for 3 seconds and then drops it back down and lowers himself to the ground. It's real important, similar to what we discussed with Butch, when you press yourself up and straighten that leg, that you create a straight line with your shoulders all the way out to the toe of the leg that's straight. As with all the other exercises, remember, don't hold your breath, continue to breathe. The next exercise that Roger's going to demonstrate is called squat rotation with weight. This is a progression of what we showed you earlier with Butch. As you can see, Roger's added squat motion with his rotation. He brings the weighted ball down to his foot and then back up to the opposite shoulder. Remember, similar to Butch, this exercise will really test your balance. It's important to have someone standing by for safety the first time you attempt this exercise. The next exercise that Roger is going to demonstrate is called Superman Banana. Now, for this exercise, you need a lot of space. You're going to be rolling from side to side. You start lying on your back with your arms by your side. The exercise is initiated with your arms lifting up above your head, and then log rolling to one side or the other. Lifting your arms up to touch your toes, then back straight out and roll over again. As you're rolling, the goal is to keep your arms out straight and your legs out straight. When you get on your back, lift your arms up and your legs up and try and touch your toes. The final exercise that Roger's going to demonstrate is called burpees. This is a progression of what we showed you earlier with Butch. A burpee consists of squatting down, jumping out into a push-up position, doing a push-up, jumping back into a squat, and then jumping up in the air. This is a very high-level dynamic activity that you need to practice before initiating. It's very important that you practice this with someone around for safety. A local community fitness center is an excellent resource. If you have the means and ability, I encourage you to visit your local gym and learn more about the programs and staff available to suit your exercise needs. Working out at a gym may not be for everyone, but you might be surprised by what you find. This fitness center is like others in many respects. It has the standard weight and aerobic machines. We'll show you how to use this equipment. However, this particular fitness center is somewhat unique in that it has certified inclusive fitness specialists and registered clinical exercise physiologists who are knowledgeable about Parkinson's. This facility also has other members with PD, which is not uncommon around the country. Ask at your local facility whether there are staff members that are knowledgeable about PD, or if there's a Parkinson's support group that exercises together.
I'm Karen. I'm 51 years old and I've had Parkinson's for 3 years.
I am Joe Stanley. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in January of 2012. I am now 67 years old.
Karen and Joe will demonstrate the proper technique on the machines most commonly seen in fitness centers. They will demonstrate exercises which train the muscles we have focused on with our previous participants, Butch and Roger. You should perform each exercise for 8 to 11 repetitions. When you can do 12 reps, increase the weight so that you can do between 8 and 11 repetitions. First exercise we're going to demonstrate is the leg press. As you can see here, Karen is familiar with this machine and she's making the proper adjustments to the seat and the foot plate before she begins. She adjusts the weights accordingly. It's important to notice here as Karen's doing this exercise that she's doing it in a slow and controlled manner. This is important for your strength training as well as safety. After the leg press, Karen will have anywhere from a 30 to 60 second rest. From there, she'll move on to the chest press. Now you see here with Karen that she's doing the exercise in a very slow and controlled fashion. You notice here as Karen's doing the chest press that she's keeping her head relatively still, her spine in a good position. Next exercise is step-ups. Joe works with his trainer in stepping up and stepping down. She demonstrates and stands by for assistance as he's going through this exercise. The next exercise we're going to see is the lat pull down. You can see here that Joe needs some assistance with adjustments to equipment. He also requires some assistance in getting the bar down so he can reach it with his hands. From there, the motion is relatively simple. With both arms, he's pulling the bar down underneath his chin, again in a slow and controlled fashion. Next, we're going to see the leg extension machine. You can see there are some adjustments to be made to the machine itself, getting the legs, the feet, and the knees in the proper position. It's important to have your knee joint line up with the axis of the machine. Like other exercises, Karen's doing this exercise in a slow and controlled fashion. The next exercise is the shoulder press. Karen checks the seat for a proper seat adjustment. It's set to what she normally has it as, so she leaves it alone. Adjust the weight accordingly. The motion is relatively straightforward in that she's just pressing the machine straight up towards the ceiling. Again, she's doing this exercise in a slow and controlled fashion. Next, we're going to show the leg curl machine. Joe is getting some assistance from his trainer, Carol, as there are some adjustments with this machine. Getting your feet up onto the padding for the machine and sliding your thighs underneath the padding. The motion, like others that we've demonstrated, is slow and controlled. You can see that Joe is getting some assistance from his trainer and just reinforcing the motion that is required and the pace that is required. Karen and Joe are going to end with two similar exercises, but exercises that are suited to their level of ability and fitness level. You can see that Karen's getting assistance from one of the trainers at the fitness center. She's performing an activity similar to what we demonstrated with Roger and Butch. A squat motion using a kettlebell and pressing it up to the sky. She'll do so many repetitions on the right side and then switch to the left side. Joe is doing a slightly different activity where he's taking a therapeutic ball and pressing it between his knees. This helps to engage the muscles in his legs while doing the squat activity. As throughout his exercise routine that you've observed, you can see that Joe is getting some standby assistance by his trainer, Carol. Again, this is important to maintain safety. You can complement your strength training with aerobic activities. Some of you like to dance, some of you like to swim, some of you may like to hike. If done at a high enough intensity, each of these can be considered aerobic training. They can get your heart rate going, make you breathe faster. Follow the basic guidelines we have provided, making sure that you are training at the appropriate level for you. Mixing up your routine keeps things interesting and can help you stay motivated. You don't have to have any special equipment to exercise. If you have the ability to walk, it's a great way to be physically active. The nice thing about walking is that it's easy to increase or progress from day to day and over time. Walking can be social or solitary, and you can listen to music. You can have flexibility to change your route and see new things. Even if you consider yourself healthy with Parkinson's disease, wearing identification that alerts medical personnel to the fact that you have PD is always a good idea in case of emergency. What do you need to walk for exercise? You'll want to look for a walking shoe designed for that purpose. Your shoes should provide good support and comfort and fit your foot well. Walking can be physical activity or exercise. Music can help keep your tempo and heart rate at the levels that will have aerobic benefits. First, pick some music that you enjoy, preferably upbeat, with some rhythm or tempo. Look for a rhythm rate at or slightly higher than the rate you're walking. You can figure out how fast you walk by counting the number of steps you take in 1 minute. Match that number to the beats per minute of a song. This is Roger, whom you met earlier during the at-home workout. Roger's fitness level when he started his exercise program was poor. Roger set goals for himself, changed his lifestyle, improving his nutrition and increasing his physical activity. This is a good example of finding an activity you love to do and turning it into exercise. I've shown you 3 options for exercising: working out at home, utilizing a gym or a fitness center, and walking in your community. Butch, Karen, Joe, and Roger all engage in other activities to keep things fresh and interesting. They also strive to incorporate stretching, resistance training, and aerobic training into their weekly exercise mix. Try the at-home workout and keep at it until exercise becomes a habit. Do the workout in combination with other activities of your own choosing. Find resources close to home and take advantage of them. There are many ways you can exercise, and there is no one prescription for how to do it if you are living with Parkinson's. People with PD play tennis, do yoga, ski, dance, walk, and bike. There's really no limit. Whatever you choose to do, keep these tips in mind. Adapt and dose your activities for your own unique needs. Try to incorporate aerobic strength and flexibility training into your regimen. Aim for planned resistance training at least 2 times per week and aerobic exercise 2 times per week. Enjoy moderate physical activity on the days you don't exercise with intensity. Progress your exercise over time so that you can continue to derive maximum benefit for your efforts. Your local support group, Parkinson's doctor, and physical therapist can all be good resources for learning where to find instructors or group classes in your area. Incorporating exercise and physical activity in your daily routine can be hard. It'll be work. Some days will be a lot of work. But you can do this. Many people with PD, just like you, started and are still exercising regularly. It's encouraging to know that even people who have never exercised or haven't exercised in many years can respond well to regular exercise and physical activity. It's never too late to start exercising, no matter your age or stage of Parkinson's. You have this DVD, and the fact that you're watching it is a big step. It doesn't matter how long you've procrastinated or whether or not you've given up on exercise in the past. This is a starting point. Remember, doing something is always better than doing nothing. Use this DVD as a starting point for establishing a routine. Then, visit the Davis Phinney Foundation website and explore the resources and publications available to you there. Check out our social media communities. It's a great way to exchange ideas and find resources. I hope everything I've said today has convinced you that exercise is an essential component of living well with PD. I know this is going to be hard, but aim to do a little more each day. I'm confident you can do it. All the participants on this DVD share many of the challenges you may be experiencing. They've been there, they've overcome barriers, and you can do it too.